Welcome back to the Reseller Journey podcast. And in this episode, I have a longtime brother, Ari, Nothing New Thrifts, going to share his tips with us, going to spill the beans into his business on what's going on. I've seen Ari on Instagram. You are absolutely crushing it. And the thing that I admire the most about you is that you seem to have a good bit of discipline, which I love. That is a key trait as an entrepreneur, to have discipline. And I've had the honor of interviewing some top resellers over the last couple weeks, and I would say that's like the key trait to being successful as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a reseller. I kind of want to just go off of that. What is the thing you try to focus on the most when it comes to like consistency, discipline in your business?
As far as things I like to consistently do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That keeps the sales coming in.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
keeps the profits coming in. What's
for
the
sure,
thing that like, you try to focus on,
for
the
sure,
most?
for sure. I mean everything. Everything is important. It's important to be on your eBay, replying to messages, replying to offers, um, accepting offers, countering. It's important to list every day. It's important to list quality items every day. It's important to ship every day. It's important to you know uh, acquire new knowledge every day. Everything is important to do like every day, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to reselling. Like I think like if you slack on one, you're probably gonna slack on another thing too. It's like you said, like being responsive when a customer asks a question. You probably source mostly every day or every other day at least.
Yeah.
And then also developing that skill of knowledge and knowing what to pick up. Now getting like more into your backstory, since this is called the Reseller Journey podcast, what like where did you come from? Like how long have you been doing this? Like what got you into it?
Yeah.
And I don't even know how long have you been doing full-time reselling?
Full-time reselling, it's been a couple years now. I have to check on my Instagram. I can see the dates on there. I think like 2020. As far as eBay goes, but I started reselling when I was like, I kind of been reselling my whole life. Same, stories. A lot of people like candy bars and stuff in middle school. Um, a lot of I had like a big hot Cheeto empire in high school. Sold a lot of chips in high school.
Hmm.
Um, and then as far as like getting back into eBay full time, it was like right around COVID. It started with just collecting like a personal Nintendo 64 stuff. So I was buying like big lots and I was picking like the couple pieces that I wanted and I was flipping the rest of it on eBay.
Hmm.
Um, but it started to get easier to buy like bigger lots of like electronics that kind of had the 64 sitting in there like
Yeah.
quietly. So I found myself like listing a bunch of different electronics, and that kind of like got me started with it. Started going to yard sales. Started as an everything seller. Um, Literally, I mean everything, books, everything. Started as an everything seller, and then little by little started transitioning out of things. I think it was like learning why I didn't like a certain item, or learning why I didn't like to sell this, or why I didn't like to sell that. Having Basically just having issues or having mistakes with certain things kind of taught me that I didn't want to mess with that anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and at the end, it was like not the last man standing was clothing, but
Right.
clothing was like never really had issues with clothing.
Hmm.
The only thing we ever had issues with clothing at the beginning was like jeans that I think we weren't measuring properly.
Yeah.
Other than that, we didn't have really any returns, any issues with t-shirts or shirts or anything like that. Um, so that's where we started focusing on clothing, and that's where we're at now. We were primarily men's clothing sellers, like 99% men's clothing sellers, and then we started going to the Goodwill bins, um, which is probably like 75% women's clothing. Um,
Yeah.
so now we're probably like 75% men's, 25% women's,
Yeah.
but still like we try to just do men's. So the women's stuff we pick up is like good stuff.
Yeah. Are you a reseller that loves to go sourcing and loves to shop? Well, right now we are hiring in our wholesale team of over 31 members. We provide you with a brand list of over 300 brands, and we are buying all the brands on that list. It's a great opportunity to double your money. And right now we're helping people pay off their kids' student loans. You could check out right here. This lady's been on the team and we've been able to help her make some extra money. So if this sounds something interesting to you and you love to go shopping and you love to source, book a call, click a link down below, and we'd love to see if we can be a good fit. Yeah, I see, you're out there hustling. You do a little bit of the flea market, the Goodwill outlet. What would you say the thing that you like the most about clothing? Like, I mean, I don't personally love clothing, but I do like the fact that it's like in abundance. Like I could go out and find it. Now
Mhm.
you just got to kind of curate to certain brands. But what do you think for you? What's the thing that you like about it the most? Easy to find or?
Yeah, as far as selling it goes, I personally I do kind of like clothing. I was never really into it, I guess, until I started reselling it. Um, like back in high school, I wore like plain t-shirts and like the same pair of jeans like all week. Um,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, so it's like it's kind of a new thing, but I do really enjoy finding like certain brands and certain items. But as far as like on the selling side, yeah, it's in abundance. As far as like thrift stores, they're mainly clothing. The Goodwill bins is mainly clothing. At flea markets, they have everything, and as most people say, like the clothing is kind of regarded as like the junk. It's the stuff that a lot of people don't want to sell unless they're clothing sellers. If they're clothing sellers, they're clothing sellers. But a lot of times you'll see like basically like a storage auction kind of looking people where they have like their furniture, their electronics, and then like the clothing's on the floor like dumped like in a pile. Um, and sometimes it's free. Sometimes the clothing is free on the floor. Sometimes it's four for a dollar, two for a dollar, a buck, two for five. Um, so you can't. It doesn't even like compete with like thrift store pricing. And then it just depends on the pile. Some piles can be like completely full of junk. Some piles can be like gold mines. Um, yeah, that's kind of what I like about clothing. Like I said, it goes back to like the non-issues with clothing. Like everybody knows how to use a t-shirt. Everybody knows like their sizes. I try to do my best to provide like as many measurements as we can and like the best pictures, and we point out like all the flaws and we talk about all the flaws, and I think that helps us keep a really really low return rate and like a positive feedback rate.
Yep. And you're just on eBay. No Poshmark, no
Yeah,
live selling, no Facebook.
no, yeah, just on eBay. We dabbled with whatnot. We're not done with whatnot, but just haven't really messed with it in a while. But yeah, just focus mainly on eBay.
That's awesome. Yeah. So can you just expand upon, as far as like, share whatever you want, but like your numbers, I've seen from a distance, you post them on Instagram. It's constantly growing. You and your wife do this together. And that's a beautiful thing as well.
Yeah.
But, like, just like, how does it look compared to last year? Let's just put it that way. Are you listing the same amount every day? What maybe are you doing different?
Yeah, so
What are those numbers?
yeah, so over the last 2.5 years, we've had two kids. So our sales kind of like have reflected it. Not yearly because we didn't let it affect the whole year, but definitely there was chunks in the years where things were kind of funny. But we're up this year over last year for sure. Um, we're listing more now. We listed about 30 a day basically for the last like 2 years or 3 years. Um, we haven't missed a listing day in like 3 years. Like about 30 a day, and then we went to 40 a day, and then we went to 50 a day like 3 months ago. Most days we get 50 up, but we're aiming for that 50.
Cool. Yeah, and for people that don't know you, what is kind of like your daily routine? You were up at 3 o'clock this morning. Your
I was.
listings are almost done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 50 listings almost done. Yeah, the daily routine. It's not different every day. We have I guess a couple like we have like two different routines. One where I source all day and one where I stay home all day. Um, so the getting up early is like it's not that hard. It's just the going to sleep early. Like last night we were tucking the girls in before 9. So by like 9:15 I was asleep. By 3 in the morning, that's like 6 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Um, ready to rock and roll. Yeah, so I was up at like 2:45, like 2:30 today.
Hmm.
Up, try to get. I used to take a morning shower. I don't do that anymore because I kind of lag in there. When I get in the shower in the morning, I end up taking like almost an hour in there. So I don't do that anymore. I just wash my face, brush my teeth, and I try to walk straight to the photo station. I like to take pictures in the morning before listing just because I'm a little bit groggy. And I think I feel like the pictures I can kind of just put some music on or put a little like a video on for a little bit and kind of just get wake up while I'm taking pictures. My wife will wake up right around the same time. She's waking up at night to feed the babies. So depending like how that went at night depends like when she wakes up. If the last about 2 weeks the babies have been doing a lot better, so she's been able to get up at the same time as me. So that's been cool. So she gets up. She'll do like all the customer service, um, reply to everybody, reply to anything, all that funny stuff. She kind of does all that stuff. Um, and then I'll pull the orders. She'll start shipping. I'll start taking pictures, and then and she'll start listing. And that's basically the morning. She'll list, and I'll take pictures. I'll take pictures until I have enough pictures for the day, and then I'll start listing, which is usually like 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning. I'll start listing, and that'll give me at least like 1 or 2 hours to list before I got to jam to the either the bins or the flea market. So that's the idea. A couple hours of pictures, about 2 hours of listing, and again, my wife is listing for as long as she can. In the mornings, like right now, she's with the babies. So in the
Mhm.
mornings, the babies wake up too. So her work is interrupted. Um, so we just try to keep it going. We try to keep to our schedule as much as we can. Um, 7 a.m. Usually I'm out the door a little before 7. Most days I'm heading straight to the bins. A couple times a week I'm heading to the flea market. Yesterday I was at the bins from like 7 a.m. to like 1 in the afternoon.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, this is my schedule yesterday. 1 in the afternoon. Driving home, passed by a Goodwill. There's like a Goodwill that's on my way home. I always pop in to check fresh racks. Usually find nothing. Yesterday I found 2 good vests. Come home. Yes, I've been trying to get home a little bit earlier to give me time to do a like a haul video or some kind of like social media thing before I like start sorting the clothes and putting it to wash, and then before I get like washed up too, because then I don't really want to go back and deal with this like dirty clothing, or my dirty clothing's already kind of like in half in the wash or half in the dryer. It's hard for me to like do like social media stuff with it. So I've been trying to get home a little bit early just so I can bang that stuff out while I'm dirty, while I have the clothes right there with me. We just do it all right there. Um, Shower, and then that's it. It's usually family time. Like the girls are, well, it depends. If I get home in time now, the way I've been, I get like an hour to work before the girls wake up, like around 3. The girls are up at 3, and then that's it. It's just all family time till now till bedtime.
So 3 o'clock, the day is done
Yes,
for work.
yes,
That is awesome. That's a beautiful lifestyle right there. Getting to bed early.
yes,
Also, the thing that's really creates a good muscle for entrepreneurs is the ability to do difficult things. I know most people generally don't want to wake up at 3 a.m. Most people generally don't want to do 50 listings a day. But between you and your wife tackling that project, that's building you up for something more, you know?
yeah,
Like most people throw in the towel. They're like, you know what, that's too much for me. I can't do that. But that's building you up to be able to like build this thing substantially bigger than what it is now.
yeah,
And then, raising the 2 kids that young of an age, I remember as well. That's going to make or break you, right? And it's making you into something that's going to be not only a good father, a good husband, but just the ability to juggle your 6-figure business and family time. I mean, that's very difficult for a lot of people. So I admire that. That's amazing. Um, so
thank you.
what you said you went from 30 listings a day to 50 listings a day. What prompted you to do that? Were you seeing like the sales come in? Because usually like if I'm listing 30 a day, I want to see, me selling at least 15, 20 a day consistently before I move up. Or was this just something you saw like, hey, we have access to such good inventory. Let's step on the gas. What initially made you like make that decision?
Yeah, it was a couple of things. It was definitely like we have a really low buy cost, so I feel like I don't want to let this opportunity pass me by. That's one. That's a big one. Um, Two, like I said, the girls were small, man. The last couple of months, we had a newborn, a 1 month old, 2 month old, 3 month old. Like you know how it is. It just gets easier. So it's just gotten a little bit easier every day. And like I said, literally like 2 weeks ago, the little one started sleeping through the night, a lot better. So like that was a game changer. Um, and then the other thing was, at 30 a day, we were making like a certain amount, and we wanted to see that, grow. So there's no way to just keep doing 30 a day and want to watch that grow. It doesn't really make sense. Or it will, obviously, in the long term, like listing 30 a day for sure, like it'll go up little by little. But when we have the power to double it, why not?
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. And so you're based out of California, I
Yes, sir.
think. Yes. So um, that's the cool part about California. Here in Oregon, flea markets are almost like they're there, but it just because it rains so much, a lot of them move indoors.
Mhm.
Same thing with yard sales and garage sales. It's like we're driving around every weekend. We're like, hello,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
anybody there?
yeah.
So you would say, but mostly your product is coming from the Goodwill outlet.
Mm, yeah. For like 2 years, it was like 90% Goodwill outlet. Um, like the Goodwills had raised their prices, and then Salvation Army was kind of like okay. And then we weren't really doing flea markets for whatever reason. That was, I mean, that was again, that kind of had to do with like the babies and their morning schedule was kind of hard to get out in the morning. Um, because the babies are very needy in the morning, so it was
Of
hard
course.
to do flea markets for a while.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, for about 2 years, we were like 95% bids. In the last like 6 months, we've done a lot more thrift stores and flea markets.
Hmm. Yeah. What have you seen at the Goodwill outlet or Goodwill bins over the last few years? I know for me, when I've gone, the carts are gone. You know, good luck finding a cart. You gotta track that down. But do you see like it's been a lot more competitive lately when it comes to the bins, or maybe is there any strategies you try to use to be able to hit the target when you go there?
Yeah, man, I think it's the same as a lot of things. It's like consistency. If you go to like one thrift store, you can't like go back home and complain you didn't find anything. If you go to like one flea market and check a couple of booths out, same thing. You can't really like complain and say you didn't find anything. If you hit 10 thrift stores, or if you hit 10 flea markets, or if you stay at the bins for 8 hours, like I guarantee, like you'll find something. So that's really all it is. It's just consistency.
Hmm.
Um, consistency. Um, but you got to be there early. I mean, it depends. It depends on how you want to do your thing, but it's obviously a little bit more empty in the morning. It gets crowded around lunchtime, and then I think it probably gets a little bit more empty in the afternoon. Um, you got to want to be there because it is a little bit. It depends, man. I see some bins locations sometimes, and it looks so chill. Some
Yeah.
videos that I see people post, my bins are not like that. My bins are not like that. it's
Yeah.
it's it's just like real high energy, real hectic, like just shoulder to shoulder digging. I like it. It's cool for me because I can go there in the morning because they're open before thrifts, so I'm usually there from 7 to like whatever time I need to be there. What I've been trying to do a little bit more lately is be there from like 7 to like 10 when thrift store starts open, and then I can start to jam and hit a couple thrifts after I've already been at the bins for like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah. Um, are you lining up when they're rolling out the new racks, ready to fight, or are you
Yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of in the corner, peaceful, which is more my style? I like to dig through everything, but it is hilarious. People really fist
Well,
fights over dirty rugs and stuff.
dude,
So it's like,
yeah. There's fights all the time. It's like probably like a week, maybe like a weekly thing. Um, anyways, I mean, you kind of not. I don't say I do both, but I kind of do both. I go through everything. So when I get there in the morning, there's like rows lined up. They usually like there's like a fresh row or like a row they change like like at the end of the day or like in the morning for us. So I usually hit that row first, and then I'll start like on the next row that they're gonna change next. So excuse me. So I try to get to it before they change it. So I will pick through every single item in that row, which is going to be like 5 bins, which are like 8 feet wide. Um, Probably 10 of them because they're in rows of they're back to back. So there's 10. I dig through all of those 10, and then usually by the time I get to like done with that, they're doing the next table change. So then I'm back on that row, dig all through that again on the fresh rotation. So we line up. So now they call it table change. So for sure we line up in the line. They say go, we go, clear that whole row, and then we move on to the next row. Every single piece, every single bin, piece by piece, clear the bin out. Boom, left to right, right to left, whatever. Boom, boom, snake my way through, and it just keeps going. They keep like changing the next bin, so I end up having to like come back, clear that bin again, and then like move forward to where I was. Once I finish clearing everything out, I usually have a big pile. It takes me like a couple hours usually to finish clearing all the bins out, including like the rotations they're doing while I'm clearing the lines. Um, so I usually have a big pile. Yesterday I had a big pile, so I'll get my IKEA bags. I'll start sorting my stuff. I'll start throwing like the junk to the side. I'll start putting my good stuff to the side. Um, and then they'll call table changes the whole time I'm sorting. So the whole time I'm sorting, we're just back at it the whole time. Like sort for a little bit, they call a table change. We run out. Um, since I picked through everything, by the time I'm done picking through everything on a fresh table change, the next table change is like around the corner. So I usually like I'll get a sip of water, like I'll use the restroom, like I'll eat an apple or something, and then I'll sort for like a couple minutes, and then it's back to like the next rotation. And that's just how it goes all day. It just goes like that all day. By the end of the day, hopefully I'm done sorting my whole pile, and then I'm just waiting for like a couple more rotations. Um, I try to pay early if I can to get my like big chunks out of there. That way, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if I have to line up again, it's just like 5 or 10 pieces. Um, yeah,
Yeah. No, that's good. It's kind of amazing when they roll out the new bins. Everyone gets amped up. They'll wait for them to completely roll out. 10 minutes even, and then they're usually digging for like 5-10 minutes, and then they're all gone. And it's like, wow, really? Everyone went through everything. And either whether you're lining up to like dig with them when they roll out the bins, or you come in a little bit after, I'm still always able to find like, why is this here? Like Viore
yeah,
joggers and
yeah,
like Arcteryx. Sure, I see you pick up Arcteryx good all the time,
yeah,
and I'm like, well, how are these here? Like
yeah,
everyone was digging, no one wanted them, and it makes you wonder because you're like checking the hems, holes in pockets, and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with them, but I think that's really the key is to just look through everything, be
yeah,
patient, and
yeah,
look through everything. You're not in a race with other people.
for sure.
Um, so that's beautiful. So I love that because the bins everyone has access to. I hear a lot like people will complain, "Oh, I can't find inventory." Sometimes you just got to suck it up, put the headphones on, go to the bins, find a corner. You don't need to go out when they roll out the new bins and just start looking through stuff. That's how I learned. That's how I learned the
Yeah,
quickest.
yeah,
And it's cool because if you do make a mistake with a purchase, you only paid what, $1-2 versus a
yeah,
thrift store you're paying 5, 10, $20 if you're in Oregon for a piece. So I love the bins as also like a training ground for a lot of beginners out there because it's such a low cost.
yeah, for sure.
Um, so I love that. I love it. Can you explain a little bit more on maybe just rough estimate on some numbers last year to where
Yeah,
what you're going to be doing this year?
yeah,
Are you
yeah,
happy with that, and maybe plans for next year?
yeah. We're happy with it. Obviously, I wish it could be more, but it's okay. Like it was these were the years of for the babies, and they were not bad years, man. So I cannot complain. Last year we finished at just under 230,000 in
Hmm.
sales. And this year we're on track to beat that by a little bit.
Nice. All right. See, y'all, you can do it too. You can do this too. There's no secret source you have. There's no guy in the parking lot giving you the Arcteryx bales.
No,
It's
sometimes
just,
the guy, but the guy only has a couple pieces. Sometimes
yeah, okay.
you got to have
Okay.
guys, or you got to like make that guy a bigger guy or something.
Right.
I'm working on that.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely have some guys, but they
Yeah.
usually just have two, three, four, five. You know, if they have 7, 8, 10 pieces, that's a good day.
Yeah, and that's like consistently maybe going to the flea market. I
Mhm.
know Tech and Sports talks about this a lot. Is like you've developed those relationships at the flea market. They see you are a legitimate big buyer, so they kind of go direct business to business. They're buying storage units or whatever. They know, oh, Ari's buying this. I'm going to just sell it right away to him. Is that something that you've developed over time? People just seeing you buy?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, like it's funny because it all like I just as you were saying, I remembered like the first time I went to this flea market, I bought like 30 rain spooners off of one guy. So my cart was like this with Hawaiian shirts, and I got pulled to the side by like three more vendors. I don't know if he told them that I was buying Hawaiian shirts or if they just saw my cart. But that day I made like three guys that day. That day I made a couple connections that day. So it's definitely it definitely like, over time for sure people just start to recognize you, but it doesn't take that much time, man. One good buy. These people are selling one piece at a time. They're selling $3, $5. Like you hand these people like $100 bill, like they're gonna remember your face.
Yeah.
um you can see like these people like sometimes literally like, you can change their day the way it went with your purchase.
Hmm.
So off of one time they'll remember your face, if you're good people's, and your money's good, and they'll remember, and that they want to sell, like hopefully they want to sell.
Yeah. I feel like that's the next step in the evolution of a reseller is you get to like that point where you're at now where you're doing all the listings, you're doing all the sourcing, and now that next level, which is probably a goal for most, is to like now have people almost source for you so you can know, hey, on this weekend, whatever, whoever has this set aside for me.
Mhm.
Um, Kind of just touch on maybe next year. What are some things that you want to put in place to maybe make the systems and processes a little easier? Maybe if you're looking to hire someone, what is a goal you can explain for next year that you guys have?
Yeah, I think we have some pretty big goals for next year. Again, like every day is just getting easier with the babies, which if you have young kids, you understand like how big of a deal that is. So I think we have like unlimited potential. I think obviously, I think at 30 we were cruising. That's like, I don't want to say it's light work, but that's light work for at least for two people. That's light work. I think even 50 is kind of light work. We're getting the 50 done on top of like a million other things we're doing all day long. We don't work for that many hours other than like basically the morning. Um, and that's on a perfect day. On a perfect day, we're up at 3. On a day that even if I'm helping at night, sometimes it's hard to get up at 3. We're up a little bit later, so from 3 to 7, either way, I'm out the door at 7. So we're getting it done then, or we have like an hour and a half at nap time in the afternoon. Um, Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, go. Sorry. So goals for next year. So yeah, so I know we have the potential to do a lot more. I'm trying to get my brother, or I'm not trying to. My brother has been helping us take some pictures. We're gonna try to crank that up. He's actually doing his eBay thing as well. So it's cool. He comes here. He like gets familiar with a lot of brands, and then he can hit the flea market, and he literally finds the brands that he photographs for me all the time. It's cool. Um, but if we can get him just a couple more hours, like the potential is basically like unlimited. On
Hmm.
days where we've had him come take pictures for us, like, and the next day, we're able to do like 80 listings. Not like killing ourselves. Like 80 listings, like pretty easy, if the pictures are done for us. So that's kind of the goal. Seeing how we can climb our way to probably that like 60, 70, 80 listing mark.
Hmm.
Um, as long as we can keep getting like good inventory, which I think we can.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's always the factor that I've found with eBay, is like as you continue to increase your listing goal, you don't. It's almost inevitable that the quality will tend to go down. But if you start making connections like yourself, you can maintain that quality as you continue to scale. It's a beautiful place to be. And just developing other relationships like with your brother to help you come in. What would you say, like on an average day, how many items do you sell? Like, what does that look like?
Um, I'll tell you. Mm, I'll probably say it's like 30. Let me see. Maybe a little
Mhm.
under 30. I'm probably wrong. Last month we sold 744 items.
Okay, yeah, like
25.
25 to 30. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, beautiful place to be.
Yeah,
Um,
so I think that's again we were at 30 a day, basically selling these 25 already. So we haven't really seen a huge increase yet in our sales, other than like listing the 50. We're making more money because some of those 25 sales are like better items because we're listing so much more. We're listing like a lot more like bangers are in the mix as well. Um, so obviously we are getting like I don't want to say instant increase in sales from the instant increase in listing, but I don't think we're even like close to where we'll be at, when we start selling the 30, 35, 40 a day at the listing 50 a day, which eBay, usually takes a couple months to catch up.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, it's always taken every time I increase the listing goal by 5 or 10. It's taken a while, and then I kind of capped out at like 50 a day myself. But
Mhm.
then I was looking at the quality. I was like, this ain't gonna sell no matter what.
Yeah.
So I scaled it back. But so that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now I want to talk about like you mentioned brands. And I know this is a constant process for a lot of resellers. It's just learning new brands, new styles, new trend changes. Maybe explain a little bit on some brands you used to pick up, but that are just straight garbage now. What's something that you could be like, yeah, I used to pick that up 2 years ago. Now I won't touch it.
Oh man.
There's a lot that have come and gone.
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe maybe like there's definitely some brands probably that I can't think of or I'll try to think of, but there's definitely like items within brands that also like have dropped off, or even um or I guess maybe these brands are like coming down and they're like almost out the door. Um, Man, not that I can think of anything off the top. Like I know I'm not picking up too many just random Levi's anymore. Like random models, random sizes. I'm not really picking. For a little while, it was like green light on Levi's. Um, yeah, we don't do that anymore. Um,
Same here.
like Under Armour, like basic Under Armour shirts. I guess
Hmm.
that's one. But you have exceptions. You have the Rock stuff that does really well.
Yep.
You have like the Under Armour military stuff that does well. So you gotta just know like in
Yeah.
in in between everything.
Yep.
Um, because a lot of
Yeah.
things are not as good as they used to. Lululemon, a lot of Lululemon
Hmm.
women's is like down $10 at least, if
Yeah.
if not more. Um, a lot of like I think a lot of people are not wearing like that many button ups anymore. Like other than for like special occasions like this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Me only.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
old, so.
No, you're good, bro. Um, no, so I
Yeah.
think like I'm talking like fancier stuff. Like that's a nice casual shirt. Like what I mean
Yeah.
like a Robert Graham is down.
Right. Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
I've
also I think a lot of like I don't know. It seems like a lot of like mall brands are kind of up. Like I think two things. I think maybe people that were buying more expensive stuff are like coming down a little bit and buying like mall brand stuff, which is
Yeah.
still like it's not cheap.
No.
Also, if you've been to like the mall lately, the prices are insane, like completely insane. Like there's nothing at the Levi store less than like $60. Like talking like $35 graphic t-shirts, like $35 hats, $70 button ups. Same thing with any surf brand you go to. Any of these like mall stores, Billabong, Hurley, O'Neill, all their button ups are $69, $79. Their board shorts are $69. It's insane. Um, so I think we're getting a little bit of that action.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like yeah, 100%. If you're a reseller watching this, it's just a good thing to go to the malls and just like do it once every 6 months, and you're going to be thankful that you do what you do, providing clothing that's the same at such a great discount. But yeah, like for example, I went to the Polo Ralph Lauren right before Black Friday.
Yeah.
The Polo Bear socks, one pair, $90 for socks. So don't even get me started on the Tory Burch outlet and the
Yeah.
Coach store.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, and it's the same thing you see happening to thrift stores here in Oregon. The prices are gonna kind of shock you. I think it's a lot of sticker shock. You know, you're in California, so you see it too. But Levi's, you know, stained Levi's, $24, 24.99, even on half price day. That's a pass for most
Yeah.
people. So it's all ending up at the bins, which is good if you go to the
Yeah.
bins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I agree, you know, there are brands that have fallen off, but there's certain things within a brand that's like chore coats, for example,
Yeah.
like Faded Glory, Gap, terrible brands overall, but if it's like a chore coat, it's going to be a good pickup because
Mhm.
overall chore coats on eBay, especially this time of year, have a good ASP and a good sell-through rate.
Yeah.
I just think that comes with years of like knowledge and research, is
For
knowing
sure.
like, you know, Gap is not a good brand, but Gap leather pants, holy
So,
moly,
yeah.
$150.
Yeah.
What's going
Yeah.
on? So cool. Is there any brands? I know we talked about brands that have kind of fallen off and suck, but is there any brands that come on your radar over the last few years? You don't have to give up your secret brands, but what have you seen? Like, hey, I never used to pick that up before, but now I'm grabbing that every time I find it.
Yeah. I mean, there's again, you're learning new brands every day. Especially like women's brands. I feel like there's so many women's brands out there that sell for good money that like you would never guess or you would never know. So trying to learn more of those. As far as like brands that I'm picking up now, like I think a good one. I've said it in a couple of videos. Don't like buy it all and don't quote me on this, but Uniqlo. It's a mall brand.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's a Japanese brand.
Yep.
Their stuff's been hot. Everything that I've been picking up from theirs from the at the bins for a buck has been selling. As far as pants and button shirts and nicer items. Um, Tommy Bahama, I feel is doing a little bit better than it was before. I feel like it's a little bit easier to sell Tommy Bahama these days. As far as a nice one, like because even
Mm-hmm.
nice ones were sitting for a little bit. I feel like nice Tommy Bahamas are moving. Um, like athleisure stuff is up, as you know, it's just always up. It's been
Yep.
going up. I think it's still on its way up.
Aloe, Viore,
Yeah, yeah.
Gymshark.
Aloe's a lot. Exactly. Yeah, aloe's stronger than it used to be. I never used to sell Gymshark. I sell Gymshark now. Um, Lululemon men's is like strong. Vori men's is like on fire. What's the other one? Roan is okay. I think Roan's gone down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Roan used to be really good. Tracksmith is a really good one.
Hmm.
Tracksmith is a
Haven't heard
really
of that.
good. Yeah, that's a
Mm-hmm.
good one. It's a, like a little it's a little bunny logo. That's a good one.
Mm.
Tactical stuff is up. It's always up. I just saw somebody post. Who is it? K-Way shop. I think you had him on
Oh
recently.
yeah, I saw
Those
them, the
Cry.
Cry pants. Yeah, those
Yeah, I've
are
never seen that
fire.
before. I've never seen them in person before. I've seen that
Mm-mm.
brand mentioned like
Yeah, me
only
neither.
2 times. Um, so that's a good one. Another one that comes to mind is a Triple Aught Design.
Yep.
TAD Triple Aught Design.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
vintage. If you don't know vintage, it's hot obviously, and it's a good market. It just takes a little bit of learning.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the thing with vintage for me is like I was learning, you know, women's brands, learning men's brands, and then vintage is like it's almost whole different world of you really got to know what you got because
Yeah,
pricing it's different.
yeah, pricing is
Learning the
crazy.
sell through rate's different. You may
Hmm.
have the difference between a $50 shirt to $1,500 shirt because it's
Yeah,
got this special logo on it. I don't know,
yeah,
but it is so cool. I personally love the game. You know, I love learning. And it's really fun because clothing is in abundance. I don't know if you've seen, but on Netflix, there's a really good documentary about the psychology of like how the big companies and big businesses sell their products. It's called Buy Now. And I don't know, for some reason, for me, when I watch that, it is also frustrating on what they do. Not really best practices, but it makes you feel good about being a reseller because a lot of stuff gets thrown away. There is something like a sense of pride that like you're helping kind of get clothing that's on its way to the landfill, because essentially when you're at the Goodwill bins, it's going in the trash most of the time or being sold out to third world countries and then ends up in their landfill. So it really like makes you feel good about what you do, because you're like to economize means to make the most out of the least. So you're taking going to the Goodwill bins, you're making the most out of what you got there and then putting it back into the economy and
Yeah.
making a full-time business. 230,000 in sales. It's nothing to joke about. That is a nice, you and your wife running that thing. So that's beautiful. I really love what I do. Doing more whatnot now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really fun and different whatnot between eBay, but it is really cool to interact with other resellers like yourself too. And it's not like you're no slouch in the game, so I appreciate that. I always learn a lot talking to other people. We've had K-Way on, we've had Brad Surfs Up Finds on, even talking with another whatnot seller. It's really, I always come away with like, yeah, that's cool. And I would say like the theme of talking to all the people that we've had on the podcast is like it all comes down to discipline and being consistent, because as you know, if you're an eBay reseller, if you miss a couple days of listing or you're inconsistent in that process, you're going to see it in the results. I've never heard of a person that's like doing really well on eBay and they list like once every other day or once a week. I just don't see that. I don't know, do you see that? Do you feel like that's like a good key to being successful on eBay specifically?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just kind of like it's like your base. Like you got to get your listings up. Like especially if like if you're not doing this full time or if you're not doing this seriously, then you don't have to do anything. Like you don't have to get your listings up. But if you're like calling this your job, or if you're trying to call this your job, or if you want the sales that you say that you want, you have to get your listings up. That's like there's no way about it. There's no like, oh, like you can list some days, you can't list other days, or like, or again, if your goal is weekly and you want to do that, that's fine. But I think it's better for the algorithm to list every day. But you have to get your listings up, whatever your goal is, as far as like what you want to make, like
Yeah.
money wise. If you have a goal and you like want to hit that goal, then you need to put in that work, or else you're not going to hit that goal. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah. I feel like I was stuck in that kind of thought process when I first started. Was like, I need to list every day, but it is also just as important to what you're listing every day,
Mhm.
because I do see like common theme of like doing, eBay store reviews and just talking with other resellers. Like they have really big stores, 5, 10, 20,000 items. And they're like, I'm listing every day. I'm listing every day. But then, like, what are you listing every day? It's like Chinese knockoff brands from Walmart. It's like, I'm hitting my listing goal. Why am I not getting sales? So it's just as important from what I've learned. And I've been guilty too of doing that. But of just like, what are you listing every day? And I feel like there's a good, like, happy balance between, finding something with a good sell through rate, good ASP, and listing that every day. What would you say for you in your business? What is a good item to you? Like, what is a good metric that you want to at least have that item hit before listing it?
Like our minimum.
Yeah.
Like I just said it recently. I think our minimum that we list anything for is $17.
Hmm.
Um, and the only things that would be like that cheap would be like t-shirts that I can photograph in like 45 seconds and list in like 30 seconds. Um, and like a really basic board shorts. We sell a lot of board shorts. And same thing, they're super easy to photograph and list. And like the most basic ones will list at like $17. That's like
Yeah.
our cheapest.
Hmm.
So buy for a buck and sell for around 15,
Hmm.
16, 17.
I love that. Are you happy with items sitting like what's a I don't, and we can go into like some of your strategies on eBay to get items to sell, but what is something that has maybe sat a little too long for you? What's that time frame? Like over a year, over 6
Um,
months? What do you want the
yeah,
item
yeah.
to sell?
It's been a while. So we have like we've been deleting items from our inventory over the last I guess good while. Like probably a year ago we deleted like 500 items.
Hmm.
And that's just literally our oldest items, which were probably like 2 years old, maybe more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because we hadn't really hit our space limit yet, so they were kind of just sitting at the end of the rack. And we started kind of getting to our space limit, so I was having to clear like that first rack, which ended up being again like 500 to 700 items of our oldest stuff, which was probably over 2 years old. And then recently we had deleted another like 500 off the same thing off of the front of that chunk. Um, so now our oldest items that are there are probably still about to hit that 2 year mark. Because we're still constantly, like, not constantly, but like last week we deleted 3 boxes. We're trying to like delete it because we're taking like the best few items and reshooting them, relisting them. And we don't want to like relist a bunch of that stuff in one day. So we're like peppering it into like our regular listings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's too long. So like we have like a markdown sale for anything older than like, I believe like 6 months is going right now. But we have like a 15% off coupon in our store. Our goal is to sell everything as fast as we can. Again, I think we probably have another 500 to like 1,000 items that we can delete. So
Mm-hmm.
realistically, we're running like a 3,500 item store,
Mm-hmm.
um, with carrying like an extra 1,000 pieces of junk. So I think that's kind of where we're at. Yeah,
Yeah, no, and I feel like as you just get more knowledge, and as for me as well, is like you get better at picking. It's just like that simple. Maybe when you first started, you just didn't know that item, just didn't have that much of a demand for it. Um, a great debate with a lot of people when they start is like they don't want to give eBay too much money. So like the promoted listings thing, are you promoting them? Is there a specific strategy? I know
yeah,
for me, when I picked up 100% sell through rate items, I didn't promote them.
yeah. Just out of habit, we promote everything. If we
Hmm.
pick up a really good item, we'll promote it at the minimum, which is like I think 2% these days. Um, but yeah, we promote everything we list, anywhere from 2 to like 6% on the highest.
Okay, 2 to 6. That's
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, I always did like a flat 10 because I always thought like my items were generally pretty common. LL
yeah,
Bean flannel,
hmm
just things like that where there's like a lot listed. So I want to end up on page one. Um,
yeah. So we would do it, I guess, and like our prices would be lower instead of attacking with such a high promoted listing rate,
mhm.
which would be like the strategy, I guess, that we would use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, and that's also another common problem is like people say I don't have any sales, but maybe you have good items. You really got to like research the general market for that item, and if you're just priced like a couple dollars over the next person, that item may never sell
Yeah, yeah,
because what if they see 15 versus 19? I mean, come on, most people are like conscious of that, and they're like, I'm gonna buy the cheaper one.
yeah, for
Well,
sure.
it's like obviously. So
Even
you're running everything out of your home,
yeah,
as well as I am, but you are as well.
yeah, yeah. We're gonna I'm gonna do that's actually one of my YouTube videos coming up. We're gonna do a like a little eBay room tour, and we're gonna
Hmm.
do another warehouse tour. I've shown it before. It's basically just a one car garage, and the
Yep.
walls are lined with racks, and that's
Hmm.
our 5,000 items. And then
Hmm.
this is our eBay
Yeah,
room.
show us now. Yeah, what's going on in there? Okay,
That's
so
right.
that's your photo station there.
Yeah, so this is the photo station.
Okay, cool, cool. Nice
See
flat lay.
Yeah, a
I have
little
those
flat
same
lay.
lights.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the listing desk.
Cool, cool. Nice. Oh, sit stand desk, key. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
key.
yeah. Oh, I'm never sitting here. This
Yeah.
chair's kind of funny too. Um, and then we just organized this area. So we had like from Black Friday, we picked up like 500 pieces, which are sitting here.
Mm-hmm.
So we just basically got rid of it all.
Yeah.
We just organized all this stuff. This is like our items that are a little too chunky for the
Mm-hmm.
boxes. Then we got
Mm-hmm.
a clean
Yeah,
corner over here.
like jackets. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a bassinet in this corner for the last like 2 years,
Hey,
like a
that's how
giant
you roll.
bassinet. So we just got that space back. I wasn't able to open that door all the way for like 3 years.
Yeah. I think
Um,
that should give a lot of people some not only inspiration but confidence that you don't need a warehouse. You don't
yeah,
even need a storage unit. You
yeah,
can
yeah,
do it out of your home and
yeah,
run a pretty nice business
yeah,
doing like the numbers you're doing. I can see like a lot of the times people get amped and ready to go. They want their warehouse and they get all these expenses that but the business isn't producing yet, you know.
For sure.
And I love that way to grow a business is like do everything with what you got at the start and like don't hire anyone. Do it until you're ready to like break. And I
Yeah,
remember on our dining room table, we had inventory boxes stacked up. We're sitting there eating breakfast next to like Polo Ralph Lauren shirts, and you
dude.
know. But I remember I cherish those times because that's I think really a good way to build the business because you can really maximize the money coming in versus like get unneeded costs in warehouse space and employees and stuff.
Dude,
Um,
for
yeah,
sure, for
yeah,
sure. We're like we honestly only moved here because of our first baby.
hmm
Before here, we were running like a 1,500 item store out of my bedroom at my mom's house.
yeah,
I think I have like an old eBay room tour up on
hmm
YouTube somewhere, where
hmm
it's like it's basically just the bed and inventory.
yeah.
Like uh, that was it. It was like a bed, inventory. Our TV was on top of our one dresser, and then my photo station was in the bathroom because it was the only place that had lighting,
hmm
and that was it. That's where we got to like we probably did like over 100,000 in sales like out of that bathroom. Um, yeah, so that was
No, that's
so,
beautiful.
so yeah. So coming here was amazing. Like it was a huge jump for us, and it's crazy to think that people think like you said that they need like a whole warehouse and everything.
hmm
Um, we don't even need this room. Like
hmm
this is comfort. And again, it's really because of the girls. Um, this could easily be set up like in the living room, and I'm working out of a computer. We could do this, on a laptop. So you don't need, like you said, you really don't need much.
Mm-mm. That's what I love about clothing. Hard goods different. You know, hard goods just take up space, and
Yeah,
that's why I was like, clothing doesn't break in the mail.
yeah,
Simple to manage.
yeah,
Now it's just like where can I find the brands that are in demand?
yeah, yeah.
So we've talked all about the successes. Can you explain maybe a little bit on a mistake that happened this year that you maybe had a good learning lesson? Is there anything that you could think of, or maybe over the last since you've been doing this, is there anything that you've learned that you're like, wow, that was huge?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. A couple things. All right, not a couple things, probably a lot of things. The one that's coming to mind right away is like is just being prepared. I think Tech and Sports said it like in a video recently about how we all have like the same holidays coming up. We all know like when our kids have break, and we all know like we all these things are in advance. It doesn't fall and hit us like out of nowhere. So that's like a terrible excuse that we all kind of make to like not get our work done. So I think we've been a lot better at it this year. Like a big example was like with my two kids. The first one came a couple days early, but it was like no excuse, but that was enough to like completely throw off my eBay business for like 2 weeks. Um, and obviously we felt that. And then the second time around, we had like 350 drafts, so like 400 drafts ready to go. I had like 500-600 pieces of inventory like here on hand. We didn't have to list for like a month, and then I didn't have to source for like 2 months. It was amazing the second time around. So that was a big one, just being prepared, being ready for things that we know are going to come up. um, I think that's a big one.
100%. You don't all of a sudden just go, oh, it's summer.
Yeah.
Wow, that came fast. Yeah, and I got asked that recently, seasonality, and I really like to source things out of season because eBay you're selling nationwide or
Yeah.
worldwide, whatever you're doing. Jackets in the summer, less competition.
Mhm.
Shorts in that January, February area where it's just less competition when you're out sourcing. I think
If you
that's a
yeah,
good competitive advantage too.
for sure. If you're at the flea market and you're the guy buying board shorts in December, like you're everybody's friend.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So if you were starting over today with $1,000 to invest and you know what you know now, how would you approach your reselling business? Would you do anything differently with that money? What would you do now to make
Um,
that money grow faster?
yeah. Okay. $1,000. Um, I wouldn't buy any equipment. I wouldn't buy any tools. I wouldn't spend probably $1 on anything. I would use my phone. That's pictures, listings, everything's done on the phone. You get your shipping QR codes on your phone, take to the post office, scan it, done. Shipping bags, you could probably get those for free, but you can get them for pretty cheap if that's all you would really need is some shipping bags. As far as sourcing, I would probably avoid thrift stores at the beginning, and I would do like 80% bins or like 70% bins, 30% flea markets. Try to keep the buy cost low. Um, yeah, I mean, $1,000 is gonna run out fast. So
Yeah.
if that's all you have, I would probably try not to spend all of it.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah,
spend
the
it.
lights, the lights, the photography
You don't
setup.
need that.
But the cool thing when it comes to reselling clothing, if you live in an area where it doesn't rain all the time, you can take the pictures outside. Nothing beats daylight photos.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. These lights, same thing. They were like a luxury and kind of a necessity. I used to only be able to do my pictures from like 2 to 4.
Hmm.
I used to have to like schedule my whole day so that I could be free from 2 to 4 to like open my window and have the perfect amount of like light come down on my bed, which is my original flat lay. I used to
Hmm.
just put another blanket on top of my bed, and that was my original flat lay. And it was from like 2:15 to like 3:45 that I had like a good chunk of light that was perfect, where it wasn't like cutting one way or the other. And that was my original like lighting.
Hmm.
Like you said, you can literally go outside. You can just go outside and have some good lighting.
Yeah. Yeah, people get excited about starting the business and they just can't wait to spend money. And I really like to, and I was the same way. Come on, I think everybody, gets a little happy and they're, I'm ready to do this. But it's really important to manage your expenses when you're starting out because you want your business to produce.
Yeah,
And then I just always kind of go back to, if my business is putting $1,000 deposits in my bank account every week, I don't want to spend more than like 300 to 500 on product, so I can like maximize that cash flow,
yeah,
and grow slow. Um, so I like to bring in this like newer segment, overrated, underrated, properly rated, and I want to just do it with brands. You have a lot of good knowledge. First one is RRL. Do you think that's overrated, underrated, or you
okay.
think no one knows it?
Oh, overrated, underrated as far as what?
Like, is it something that people are picking up all the time? Is it saturated, or is it like kind of unknown and underrated?
Um, like to
Double
sell?
RL. Yeah,
It's
double RL. Is it underrated? Is no one picking that up, or is
no, no.
everyone picking that up?
Double RL is properly rated. I would say
Okay.
green light on double RL. You got my go ahead. If you find
Okay.
double RL, you can pick that up.
Okay. What about Grayson Polos? Do you think that's flooded?
Yeah,
Overrated?
Grayson polos. I think we're popping up at Ross and Marshalls and stuff already, like 2 years back. So I would call those maybe properly rated. If you can get them for like a couple bucks, they're probably okay. I would not pay up for Grayson polos. Maybe a little overrated.
I feel like once things hit those discount retailers, it's kind of the beginning of the end,
Yeah,
like
it's not the end because they weren't flooded. I think I saw like they had a couple sitting around.
mhm.
It wasn't like I wouldn't call it like a Ross brand yet. Um, but yeah, like, you're right. It's like the beginning of the end, I guess.
Yeah. Carhartt.
Carhartt, it depends on the item. I would say maybe a little bit overrated as far as people think every piece is worth a lot of money. Um, and maybe underrated as far as people don't know that some jackets are worth a couple $100.
Mhm. Yeah. Patagonia.
Patagonia, I guess it's properly rated. I think people, everywhere recognizes the logo, so they will charge up on it. But it's usually like fairish, especially if you know the good pieces, because there's a lot of like sleeper Patagonia, that goes for like big money.
Yeah. All Saints.
All Saints, I think people don't know about All Saints. I think All Saints is maybe underrated. All Saints sells well for me. All Saints, I don't know if it's like I'm in an area where like I'm right by a big Nordstrom, so All Saints I
Mhm.
think is a Nordstrom brand. Um, they have like 3 packs of their like shirts here available for like, I don't know, like nothing crazy. Um, but like single shirts sell on eBay for like over $20
Hmm.
on All Saints. So I think All Saints is underrated. All Saints can do pretty good.
How about Icebreaker? It's like a merino
Yeah,
performance
no,
brand. Yeah,
Icebreaker. Yeah, I never find it in good condition, so I don't know. I don't know about Icebreaker.
the holes. Yep.
It's always wrecked. So maybe I don't know if that means it's not a great brand overall.
Mm.
Like I don't want to say it's not a great brand, or maybe it's not longer lasting. Um, but I'm no one to say that. I've only found a couple pieces, but it's always been wrecked when I find it.
Yeah. You talked about this earlier, but what's your pulse on the Lululemon market? Like, you think that's just
I think it's a little
completely?
bit overrated. Like if you go to
Mhm.
this flea market, you like. I only buy Lululemon. It's funny because I'll only get it usually for like $1. Because if it's like like nobody know if no they didn't see what it was or they don't know what it is or they don't care, because if they see it or know it or care, like they're gonna price it out of like what you can pay for it because it's not even selling for that much.
Yeah. The
Overrated.
hottest one for me is Viore or Viore, however you say it. But
Yeah.
it's been like wildfire when it comes to whatnot, whether people resell it or wear it. But what are your thoughts on that? I think that's underrated.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could. I guess you could call it underrated. I guess it's probably like properly rated, being that everybody kind of knows it now.
Yeah.
Even like the Theas at the bins, they kind of know it now.
Hmm.
So I think the word is kind of out on Vori, but it is underrated as far as like you can't compare it to Lululemon because it's probably twice as good
Yeah.
as far
Yeah.
as selling wise. Quality wise, it's probably about the same.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's pretty interesting, just watching that documentary. Brands these days versus like the vintage stuff. The quality of the clothing is just not there anymore. Whether it is like a Viore or an All Saints or Patagonia, a Carhartt jacket from 20 years ago is gonna last 1,000 years. A
Yeah,
Carhartt jacket produced today might only last a couple.
yeah,
So it's a real big eye opener as far as like the quality, just in with things in general, phones, ear pods, things are breaking now more than ever.
yeah,
Just man, this country is just really built on the waste and consumerism cycle. But it's a beautiful time for resellers because it
yeah,
opens up opportunity for people to run a six-figure business selling whatever. Guys, find your niche, find what you like, find what's in abundance, take advantage of that, turn it into a business. What can you recommend for people that want to get going full time like yourself, that people should focus on? Maybe they're working a 9 to 5 and they're like, you know what, I saw Ari on there, I want to do that too. What do I need to do to make it happen?
you got to work the 5 to 9.
Yeah.
That's the only way anybody can do it. And it just depends on how much time you have. If you have no kids, you can pour your all into it, and you can really get going. You can work your 9 to 5, um, and you can turn that like that paycheck into a lot more. If you start figuring out the eBay, and I think if you were to work as hard as you worked at a 9 to 5, you would make way more on eBay than at any 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I think no reseller works 9 to 5, or like, what I'm saying, like as far as like the way that you would in an office or like at a real job where somebody's like making sure you're at your desk for 8 hours straight. Like if you're at your desk for 8 hours straight listening, you'd be doing 100 listings a day. Just mathematically, time wise, you'd be doing an insane amount of listings if you were actually working for 8 hours straight at a desk, or like taking pictures for 8 hours straight. If that was your like legit job, as far as like a normal job goes, how many pictures would you take? You would take 200 pictures.
Yeah.
um so I think that's something. If you're willing to put in that work and that time for somebody else, um and if you're willing to put in that work, like you can do so much more on the eBay side. um I would say it's definitely possible. It's not for everybody. Like I think a lot of places, and you can see it like when you go places, you can see like the one employee that's kind of running the show, and like it kind of sucks because they'll keep giving you another dollar to keep you working there, running this like huge business for these people. Where again, if you just like with that like that ability that some of these people have that are like great managers at places, like if you were to literally work like that, like for yourself, like again, like let's just say like eBay listing and like sourcing and all that, like as hard as these people work at other places, it's insane. Um, so if you're that person, I think you can, you know, make a lot of money on this side. If you're that person that's like at your job, kind of looking at your coworkers, like what's you know what's everybody doing? Like what's like is this it? That's not it. You know, there's more out here. I was stuck in that for a while, um, and it was very quick for the eBay to match my hourly rate. Like I wasn't making more because I wasn't working the amount of hours, but it was very quick with like just doing the math. Like, okay, I'm only working 2 hours here. I'm making like whatever it was, $30 an hour, like doing eBay. I was like, all right, that's like double what I'm making like my 9 to 5. Like, what is going on here? Um, so it was like it was just kind of like slowly transitioning those hours. I love my job where I used to work. I love they're really good people. They saw what I was what I was trying to do, and they let me kind of phase out. I started working like 3 days a week instead of five, so that allowed me to do like 2 full days of like eBay, and that really helped me kind of like strengthen my eBay before I made the full jump.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple things in that, but the average median income for Americans is like 52,000 a year. And that, might seem like it's a lot, but I know you can hit that, like you said, working 8 hours a day on eBay, or even running that 5 to 9 after you get off work. Um, you can hit that. You
Yeah,
can hit that pretty quick too, if you just pick up good items. I love that. And another thing you said a while back in the podcast is your belief, really determines your destiny, and it's your belief. You said it a couple times, is that you feel that you and know that you have untapped potential, unlimited potential. Like there's more left inside of you, and I 100% believe that. And it's when my life started to change, is when I started to take my belief in that there was more that I could do, is when my life changed. I knew that I could work an extra hour in my business. I knew that I can be present at home an extra hour or two to develop the kids, raise them into, productive humans. So I knew that there's more left. And, if you feel you're watching this on the other side and you're like, I'm just not getting the results, it can always be fixed with doing an hour or two of extra work. Maybe you're just not working hard enough.
yeah,
And it also really goes with this like parable, and I believe it comes from the Bible, but like, a dull axe takes a while to chop down a tree. The more you sharpen your axe, it's going to be quicker. So like your skills, maybe it's hard right now because you don't have the skills. So you got
yeah,
to work harder on yourself than you do at your job. So your job can't even afford to pay you anymore because you've become so skillful.
yeah,
And that's like that transition from working a 9 to 5 to becoming an entrepreneur, is that the job only pays you what you're worth, the value you bring to your company. Whereas an entrepreneur, you're paid upon the value you bring into the economy. So like good products for good prices that sell fast. So I like to see that, as like the two parallels. So maybe if you're going through a hard time right now, just focus on getting better. Do the minimum at your job and then work harder on yourself. And that job won't be able to afford you because you become so valuable. And that's what you've done. I'm sure, Ari, is like, you became so valuable to the economy now. You're producing $230,000 a year of value into the economy. You're going to get paid that, in return. So I love that. I always learn a lot from people, their mindset, and I think it's so valuable, y'all. You can do this 100%. You just need to believe it. There's no way that you can not believe you can't do it and then try to do it. It's like you gotta believe it because you
yeah.
can. You
For
can.
sure.
Just don't be lazy.
For sure.
You know, well, I love that. We'll touch on this last subject, and then I'll let you go. You know, because I know you got a busy day ahead. Trend changes. What are you forecasting for the future within the reselling market? Do you see anything changing in the next year or two? Are more people coming into reselling, or what's going on with eBay? Maybe more live selling. What's a thing that you can see in the future that's gonna be like, yeah, that's gonna be it for the future?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think definitely the live selling is on fire. It looks like it's just gonna keep going up, which makes sense. I get it. It's fun. It's cool. For sure. I think that side. As far as other trends, I think I think Tech and Sports just said it yesterday. I think reselling is a little bit less popular than it was a couple years ago. Like there's not that many faces. Um, Sometimes it feels like you hit thrift stores and it's kind of like nobody's been there for like it feels like weeks. Just on the stuff that you find, you can tell like it's been like that for a while. Um, and it wasn't like that. Like I'm out there every day, so I can kind of get a feel for it. Um, Same thing with like flea markets. Like you don't see like that many wagons around. You don't see like the IKEA bags that much, which is good for us. It's good for who's gonna stick around, or it's good for who's gonna continue trying to do this. Because I think it's a little less of like a hot topic or like a hot thing to do than it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Um, I just see it going up. I see it
Yeah.
going up.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And it's like the shiny object syndrome too, with so many different side hustles and things you can do. The people that stay committed end up like in it for the long haul and end up growing.
Yeah,
But yeah, a good indicator for me is like go to the Goodwill bins when they open. Is the line shorter than it used to be or longer than it used to be? Same thing with like there's a red, white, and blue around here. In the summer, the line was around the corner all the way back down the parking lot.
yeah,
Now there's like 10 people.
yeah.
So I'm like, wow, whatever happened to that guy? Whatever happened to this guy? So yeah, stick to it. You gotta stick to it. It took me a year to get the ball rolling reselling on eBay before I could start like paying rent and
Mm-hmm.
expenses. So it does
Mm-hmm.
take time. Well, I appreciate you. I'm going to put all Ari's links down below. He's doing a lot more content on YouTube now, and I
Right.
really like the raw content. Number one, no editing, but number two, it gives you like the real. What is it like? Like, what do
Yeah,
I do? Here's what it is.
yeah.
It's very cool. So go check out his YouTube videos. Lots of good stuff. I'll put all his social links down below. Appreciate you, brother. We're gonna have to do this again. Sometime next year, maybe middle of the summer update. But
Let's do it.
yeah, you're crushing it. I admire you. Definitely inspired. So thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. All
Thank
right.
you so
Have
much,
a
man.
blessed day, guys. We'll see you. Bye bye.